Hi, my name is Mark Szymanski, and I'm with Soldiers Angels, a national nonprofit organization which works to ensure that our service members and veterans are supported, uplifted, and remembered through a variety of programs. And today we're continuing our Tribute to Our Heroes series with Juan Aviles, a recently separated Army veteran who served 3 tours in Iraq. Thank you, Juan, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, it's great that you are with us today, but let's start from the beginning. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned that your uncle had a big influence on your life.
Yes, that's correct. I didn't have a father figure growing up, and my uncle kind of stepped up and became that father figure. He was prior service Navy, and over the years, he pretty much like guided me under his wing. Did a lot of different activities, went camping, baseball games, football games, and so forth. But what I saw in him was that military service member mentality that he always brought with him wherever we went. And that kind of inspired me as I was progressing through high school, thinking about, not just going to college, but maybe making this a separate career also by joining into the reserves. At that time, that's what I planned on doing, was doing the Army Reserves.
And so you kind of followed his footsteps into the military.
Correct.
So
Yes.
you grew up in the Bay Area, right?
Yes, I grew up in the Bay Area, mainly in California. My mom and us, we moved around a lot. We didn't get really stable until my high school years, where we finally settled down in Mountain View, and then I got to graduate at Los Altos High School there, and then I met my wife, who was my high school sweetheart at that time. So my senior year, like I said, I was planning on joining the Army Reserves. I was going to be a signal soldier then, but life changed, and my wife was expecting a baby, and my priorities changed. So at that time, I made a decision to put college to my back burner, put family first. I went back to the recruiter station. I said, look, this is what I want to do. I want to switch from the Army Reserves to Army Active Duty. And that's what I did in 1998. I switched active duty, and never looked back from that. And I appreciate the 23 years that I've served. It's been a great time for me.
That's awesome. So you joined the Army. You left your family and your young son, and you were stationed somewhere not close to home, right?
Yeah. So after I did my basic training and my first advanced individual training, which is your job training, my first duty station was South Korea, and it was hard. Didn't expect that to happen right off the bat, to just up and go abroad, but my wife had a good support system back home still, with family there, and my wife and her family. And I knew that this is what I signed up for. I signed up for defending our country and serving our country, and the sacrifices that you have to make at the same time. And our family understood that too at the same time. So I went over there, and it was just an eye-opening experience. I've never been to another country, other than like El Salvador or Costa Rica, but really into a foreign country that I've never been out of my realm with, and to experience their culture, their food, their traditions. It was a great experience that 1 year that I was there, and it's just a beautiful country. Their people are beautiful, and they're so heartwarming, and they welcome you in. And I got to experience it by being invited to a family's home where they adopted me, a service member, to one of their homes. and they brought me in. And what you typically do is you bring the host and the hostess a gift. So the three of us, there was 3 soldiers total we came together, we bought a gift, and we presented that gift to them. But then they just brought us in. They went all out on the tradition, from head to toe, and it was like great. You see them, how they were dressed up in their attire, and the food that they laid out for us, and the storytelling, and their ancestors that were there. And then they spoke of their elderly ancestors that passed away, and it was just like something I've never experienced in my life, and I will forever cherish. And I would have never experienced something like that without, of course, being in the military and putting me in an assignment overseas.
That's incredible. And when we were talking earlier, we were talking about our love of Korean food, and
Yes.
that's what an amazing experience. And yes, that's probably the only place where you could, in the military, is the only place where you could take part in something like that. Well, speaking of foreign countries, you were eventually sent to Iraq in 2004
Yes.
for your first of 3 tours, right?
Correct.
What was your role there, and how did it feel to I think you were stationed in the U.S. at that time before going there. So how did it feel to leave the U.S. to go to a combat zone?
So the very first time, when we got our initial notification that, your unit's up to go, first time going, I was in my first leadership position. I had about 6 soldiers underneath me that I was leading. We had a senior non-commissioned officer and then a senior captain that was above us. Luckily, that they have experience deployments of their own, so we had at least some type of history with that they could bring to the table and teach us. But when you're at like the gym where everybody gathers to say goodbye to your families, and you're doing your final hugs and your kisses and your goodbyes to your kids, it's like a punch to the gut, and it is hard. But like I said, you know what you signed up for at the end of the day, and to go off to know that I'm not just doing this for my family, but I'm also doing this for this country. So we get on that bus and we go overseas. And at that time, I had already changed my job from my initial contract to a signal support system specialist, which is basically a radio and computer operator maintainer. So we go over there, and that's what we did. We just maintained the communications aspect of that unit whenever they had to leave the wire, or if they had to talk to somebody long distance within Iraq or back here in the United States. We had to ensure that that communication bridge was connected at all times. We couldn't let anything fall through the cracks. And it was a successful tour, that first tour. We all came back, luckily. We got back to see our families and our loved ones and our friends. It was just great.
That's awesome. You talk about serving on behalf of the American people, and I think you got a taste of how appreciative the American people were. You mentioned that before you began working for Soldiers Angels, you actually got to know Soldiers Angels as a recipient of their programs, and you got to experience some of that appreciation the American people feel about those who serve. How did that all come about, and what was that program that you took in part of?
So it was in my 3rd tour to Iraq, where we signed up for care packages for the service members that are deployed overseas. And what a care package is basically little trinkets that are donated from angels that are volunteers that come to Soldiers Angels. They either donate these items themselves, or they sign up and they pledge a certain amount. And with that amount, we here at Soldiers Angels fill a box worth of trial size hygiene items, snacks, and then we have handwritten cards from people all over the world, or I would say all over the world, because we even get letters from Japan and all that, that people just like are supportive of our troops, and they just want to say their thank you. So we put, those are in care packages, and then you got newspapers, magazines, and so forth. So when I was over there for my third tour, we signed up for this program through Soldiers Angels. We're like, oh, care package is pretty cool, because sometimes you don't get to go to a shopping center and get to pick up a gum or some candy or get soap immediately. And these care packages, they come to you, and it's just a piece of home that comes in this box. And the handwritten letters are just heartwarming. The thank you for being there to support our country, for being away from your family. It's just knowing that there are people out there that understand our sacrifices and are willing to sacrifice even $1 or $2 to just contribute back to us, and are just grateful for what we do and grateful for this nation. And I'm grateful for them. I mean, those letters bring our spirits up when we are at a low point. Those letters that I save in my chew, which is my barracks room, it brings me up when I read them, when I read them at the end of the day. So I thank them for those letters.
That's awesome. I mean, from a civilian point of view, you kind of feel like you're not really sure how best to express your appreciation for our service members if you don't have somebody who's a close friend or relative who's currently serving. And when I got to learn about Soldiers Angels, I thought that was such a great opportunity that Soldiers Angels is presenting to the American people. Like they are allowing everyday citizens to just say, hey, thanks so much for what you do. I don't know you, but I still appreciate for what you're doing, and to send those letters. I think that's just such a great thing that they're doing.
And it is not just at the care packages that Soldiers Angels stops at. This organization has grown, and it keeps on growing daily. The CEO, Amy Palmer, and her staff, they just constantly find ways to increase the support that they can give, not only to the service members, but also to the veterans on a daily basis. There's other programs that are out there that people just might not know about that we have. We have the mobile food drives that happen at the VA clinics. We have the letter supporting team. We have the blanket teams. We have the cookie teams. We have the baking teams. There's so much out there. We have volunteer teams that's available out there that gives back to the military community and the veterans and their family members, that we constantly have a need for help to give back to that military community. And this organization is just going to keep on growing in the success that they're doing.
And I think you mentioned that you participated in one of the home reconstruction efforts for a World War II veteran in
Yes.
San Antonio.
Yes, that's correct. This year, I know that Amy Palmer and the staff, they went out and they helped a World War II veteran, refurbish his house. And I was part of one of those days, one of those projects. But they had so many volunteers, not only just from our organization itself, but outside entities that came in and gave their time, just let us borrow their equipment, like, because we didn't have construction equipment. So we had crews that just came and donated their equipment for us to use. And it was just great to help a veteran like that just, it was tear-eye, heartwarming moments that, we did something to help this veteran out.
Yeah, no, I mean the videos and the photos that came out of that effort were just absolutely incredible. So and you can tell his appreciation for all of the efforts of all the volunteers and the organization to do that. It was it was just an incredible thing to be a part of an organization that does something like that.
Yeah.
So you are with Soldiers Angels now. You linked up with them again when you were approaching retirement in the Army, and decided to participate in the DOD SkillBridge program, right?
That is correct. So what's amazing now is that the military has opened up this DoD SkillBridge program for military service members. Their last 6 months is, I wouldn't say the last 6 months, but your last 2 years is very vital. You need to start planning out what's your next step. So what the military has done is these last 6 months, they have afforded the opportunity to military service members to find a organization, a company, somebody that will bring them in as an intern, free of charge to that company. They don't have to pay the intern, to help them grow in the field of what they choose. So I was looking for something in accounting because that was my expertise that I wanted to go into. I was researching many organizations, and I came across Soldiers Angels. I was like, hey, they're in San Antonio. Let me see if I can, link up with them. Luckily, I did. I reached out to their VP of operations, Chris Chun. We talked a little bit. He put me in contact with their director of finance, and Vicki Akers and I talked. And she said, you know what, we're going to give you, we'll give you a try. And they brought me in as an intern, and they actually gave me 2 roles. So I was helping in the finance role, and then I was also helping in their logistics role, where I got to actually learn accounting stuff, how to do accounts payable, how to reconcile, how to do inventory management. So those tools help me progress and build my experience that I need, even if I need to go beyond this just job scope. So that transition from the military to the civilian sector, Soldiers Angels helped me close that gap. And it was great. They're a great family. And it's just an awesome opportunity that they gave me and they presented me at that time.
So that situation is pretty unique. You're both recipient of Soldiers Angel services, and then you worked with them to support others in the military connected community. How did it feel to be on kind of both sides of that desk?
So it felt great being able to not only had received from Soldiers Angels, but also to give back to others in Soldiers Angels at this time. As a veteran myself, I know there's other veterans out there that are struggling at this time and need the additional help. So being able to get these donations in and get them right back out to them as quickly as possible is what makes me feel accomplished every day, helping them out in any way sort of possibility that I can. They're my fellow brothers and sisters, and I just want to make sure at the end of the day they are taken care of just as much as I was taken care of while I was in service and as I was in my middle of my transition from the military.
That's great. And that experience really helped you. I hear that you're a short timer with Soldiers Angels, and you've accepted a new job and you're moving on.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, my experience has grown here, and that helped build for my next career step, my next career move. I have accepted a new job with the Texas Department of Insurance as an auditor, but I'm always going to miss this family. I'm always going to find time to come back and volunteer my own hours to come either build care packages, build hygiene kits, build box lunches, some way that I can still give back to this organization that I know that I can give back to the military community and the veterans, just so they won't get lost. And I know they won't get lost, but this place will always be like my first civilian home.
Yeah, congratulations on the new job, and I'm glad that Soldiers Angels could be there as a stepping stone to finding that. And what a great, remarkable journey. A lot of veterans, when they leave service, they kind of search for things of what else to do and to be a part of something bigger than themselves, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people enter the military. What does it mean to you to be a veteran, and how do you see the value of volunteering with your community as a way to continue that like lifetime of service?
So me thinking about being a veteran is someone that, sacrificed that time to be able to provide not only for the family, but for the family of this country. Um, and I would do it again if I could. I would continue to serve if I could. Um, Providing for this country has meant the world to me, and how much they given me and helped me grow over the years. Um, I will never like take for granted what the military has given me and has opened my eyes to. Uh, and I just want to continue as a veteran to give back to veterans and to give back to young service members that are in currently, and give them those words of encouragement like, it's not just about the 9 to 5 job. It's not just about doing your job today. It's what your job is going to lead to in the future and how can it help your unit and your fellow comrades in the future. My son, who's following in my footsteps, actually joined the military. Not that I asked him to, not that I made him or anything like that, but he just came up to me and, he said, you know what, Dad, I think I'm going to join the military. We talked about it, sat him down. He joined the Army. He's a supply specialist. And now he's starting his family of his own. He's up in Fort Carson, Colorado. And, we talk about things, and I share my experiences with him, and I share leadership tips with him. And I share with his fellow soldiers the same thing. But, us veterans, we mark milestones that we have completed, and we continue to make these milestones, and we continue to share this history of what we've done for this country to these young soldiers. And I just hope that these young service members understand that, it's in your hands, and take care of our country and continue to defend our country.
Well, that must feel pretty good to be able to pass along that desire to serve, just as your uncle passed it down to you. Yeah, that's a cool thing. And whether you're join the military or not, or whether you are being a part of your community by supporting the military connected community, I think all that is an important message that that people should walk away from. So Juan, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you're a busy guy and you're trying to wrap up probably 1,000,000 projects before you leave us at Soldiers Angels, but really from your family here at Soldiers Angels, I want to thank you for your service to your country and for continuing to support your community. And thanks to everyone out there for watching this Tribute to Our Heroes series. If you'd like to join us as a volunteer, or you'd like to register for support, please visit us at soldiersangels.org. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. And Juan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today, Mark.